5 mistakes beginning filmmakers make.
And how to avoid them. Hi, this is JP Morgan.
And this is Kenneth Merrill.
Today on the Slant Lens, we're going to talk about the 5 mistakes that beginning filmmakers make and how to solve them. And these are the things that, as I've taught students, and I've taught a lot of students over the years in filmmaking classes, I'm looking at these 5 things are the things that crop up almost immediately, and I've got to solve with each and every student. So let Kenneth and I help you avoid these 5 mistakes.
Number 1, camera movement.
Camera movement is the biggest challenge for people who are just beginning to do filmmaking because, first off, they just want to put the camera on the tripod. It rests there, especially for still photographers. It's easy to focus there. When I'm dealing with students, I'm going, you know, that's a valid way to make films. You can put the camera on a tripod. Everything's locked off. There's no movement there. But it's probably the least interesting and the one that really doesn't explore all the wonderful options that filmmaking has to offer. So get the camera off the tripod.
Now the easiest way to do that is to just hand hold it, but it's a double-edged sword. Because what I did when I was young and what I see a bunch of new filmmakers do all the time, it's too shaky, too frenetic, they never focus on anything, they never let the camera rest.
Settle the camera down, get your elbows in, support your camera in 3 places, and let that camera just sit comfortably in front of you, just rock back and forth. It creates a little bit of parallax in the background and it looks really nice. You'll see this on documentaries, you'll see it on television all the time. This is a very common, acceptable way to use a handheld camera right now. The reason you move the camera is because you want to direct the viewer at what you want them to see. You don't want to just move it to move it. You want to say, look, I want you to look at these keys they just set on the table, you know, because that's an important part of the storyline. Number 2 is probably the most intimidating thing you're going to need to overcome as a new filmmaker, and that is sound.
You honestly cannot overestimate the importance and sometimes the challenge of getting clean audio. Don't pick a place like we have here where you have lots of ambient noises and cars going by and dogs barking, because the truth is you can't take that out of the audio in post. It's going to be there and it's going to sound like garbage. What you really should do is move to a quieter location.
This location is great. It's much better than where we were. It's not perfect. We've got somebody's pool cleaner, we've got an airplane up high overhead going by, we've got a soccer game, but it's certainly a whole lot better than where we were before. You're going to be able to get better sound here.
The next thing to know is that the mic on your camera is not going to be good enough. It's going to collect, not only is it going to collect all of the sound around you, but it's just not a very good mic in general. What you really need is some focused sound audio sources. So on professional sets, they use shotgun or boom mics, and that's definitely an option. But for low-key or run-and-gun things, maybe when you're first starting out, we recommend some sort of lavalier solution.
Which is what we're using today. We got a lav on. It's a wireless lav, so it's sending the sound back and putting it onto the camera. So finally, get what they call room tone or ambient sound. Just roll your camera and just let the camera record whatever audio you're getting here with no one talking. No one talking at all, and just let it be quiet. Kenneth and I just finished a new download that teaches anybody who knows how to use a camera at all how to shoot video, and we're going to really concentrate on sound so you understand how to do sound, one of the scariest things for new filmmakers, so check out our new download.
Number 3, another common mistake I see a lot of beginning filmmakers make is not knowing how to use focus and depth of field to help tell their story. Super shallow depth of field is a very popular look these days, and it's totally fine to do that, but you should also take that and use it as an advantage in storytelling so you can know how to introduce new elements to a shot or scene that kind of further the story. So don't be afraid to change your focus and help that tell your story.
Number 4, another big mistake that a lot of new filmmakers make is that they shoot everything in a wide lens. They don't get any coverage. It's just a whole wide shot. Kenneth wants a bowl of cereal here. He's going to wander around the kitchen getting a bowl of cereal. We can shoot this in a wide shot and it's just not that interesting. We're following him from side to side, and it really looks more like we're photographing or videotaping a play. That's not what we want to do. We want this thing to be interesting. Get wide, tight, and interesting shots. As he goes to the cupboard or to the fridge, put a camera in the fridge so when it opens up, we see him looking in. When he goes to pick up something like the bowl, that we want the viewer to look at that. Make them look at the bowl. Here's the bowl as he picks it up, as he goes to take a bite. So cutting allows you to direct the viewer's attention to what you want to tell them so that the story moves forward. It also allows your editor to be able to be protected against, if I mess up my line, you can cut to a different take. And last of all, it just makes your piece a lot more interesting. So wide, tight, and interesting.
And finally, number 5, the biggest mistake filmmakers can make, especially beginners, is not having a story or something interesting to say.
A string of great visuals with music behind it is not a great video. I mean, it just really isn't. Try to communicate something. Try to say something with what you're showing. Try to have a storyline of some sort. Try to have a meaning and a reason for this video to exist.
I know it's really tempting because when you're starting out, it seems like getting a pretty picture is the hardest part, so you tend to focus on that a lot. But the truth is, there are so many pretty pictures out there, especially online right now, that people won't stop and watch something just for that. They have to be captivated by what's happening. It doesn't have to be a narrative, you don't have to have dialogue, but some sort of structure to it, something with a beginning, a middle, and an end that communicates an idea.
A way to move the audience, move them to purchase, move them to feel compassion, to donate, move them to help or to rescue. I mean, there's a lot of different stories out there, but try to get away from pretty pictures with just music. So there's some great information on how to avoid some of the basic mistakes that most filmmakers make. We've got a new download that's going to teach you all the things you need to know to avoid all those mistakes that a lot of filmmakers make, and beyond that. We're going to teach you about the things you need to know to cross over from either photography to videography, or just from a person who has a camera who'd like to become a videographer.
There are a lot of things that I wish someone had told me, like things we talked about in this video, when I was starting out, mistakes I made that I had to learn the hard way. So in this download, we're gonna go over the equipment you need, how to use that equipment, how to set up your camera, how to light, how to set up sound, which is a super important thing that took a very long time for me to understand, and just a lot of great information.
There's hours of information here that are going to help you feel confident doing video and making a living at it. So go to theslanted.com, click on the store, and get our download today.